Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, September 29th, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Monday, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame. The previous session, we finished the week right at the midpoint of the week's range, and when that type of trading range develops, we have a very clear trading range edges to fade and to play to. And right now, the early thought is we're going to get a move either to the previous week's high or low right out of the gate and perhaps bounce it back in and maintain a trading range here and closing things near the highs of the month and the quarter. And so right now, a very bullish overnight and pre-market move away from the previous session and previous week's close, which opens up the previous week's high here up above that level, 67.5675. Looking for a continuation toward that level, perhaps not all at once, perhaps it gets there early into Tuesday. Now, any trading range action here kind of occurs at the edges, so any push into that edge and we're back in. If we drop into this edge, we're back up, and we have mostly a range bound trading range market that is developed here heading into the NFP report on Friday. So again, this market finishing the quarter at and near the highs of the quarter. We'll be talking about how to begin the quarter here up ahead as we turn the page to Q4 in October. So again, right now, working our way toward the previous week's high. If you look here at the NQ, very similar price action as well. This one also closed even more so than the ES, closed precisely at the week's midpoint. That's the level there. You have the previous week's high right there, previous week's low right here, and we're currently working our way up away from the previous close. That opens the door to a test in the 25.027s to begin the week. At that point, we may come back to the mid and drop across the range, or however we play off that range, we'll see. But the bias remains to the upside at the moment, but clear ranges have developed after last week's trade. Looking here at crude oil. Now this one is down 2.3% after a late Friday drop. That was a very sharp turnaround mid-morning. It was a very strong 60-minute high followed by a thrust reversal back down. Head and shoulder pattern intraday, and already seeing rejection. At least we got into 66s this time. It wasn't quite able to get it to value. I was hopeful we might be able to get it to year-to-date VWAP, maybe even the 200-day moving average. But the thought was we're coming into a seasonal window of selling, and that usually occurs right around the beginning of the second week of October. From there, you tend to see selling pressure, at least general weakness in crude oil into the middle of December. And that's the expectation. So any strength could still be sold until proven otherwise, especially as we hit that window over the next week. If we look here at gold futures, this one's up another 1+%. Very, very bullish. One thing we talked about a couple of days back was this 3-day pullback was very similar to this 3-day pullback, and we could be looking at a 1 to 3 day continuation to the upside. This market also continues on a path to 4,000, as I've mentioned, and that might be a very easy target based on how quickly we've gotten there and how much compression time we had leading into the breakout or ahead of the breakout. Meaning that right there, to have 4 to 5 months here of compression, and then you get to your target in 4 to 5 weeks, 6 weeks, that there's still a more of a release of energy that can happen even beyond that expected target. So this is looking highly bullish as we expected, and still working its way toward 4,000. Looking at the YM, this one's up about 1/3% right now. Also finishing the week right at the week's midpoint, and when that happens, again, trading range action, you look for a move to one of the edges to begin the week, and you look to fade that edge with an upward bias. Still, again, about to close the quarter near the quarterly highs. We do have NFP report here on Friday, October 3rd. Market will be watching that, and we'll be keeping an eye on the upper edges here of the previous quarter's range. Into this zone, do we start to see some sort of major rejection or reaction that could bring us back toward the quarterly midpoint down the road? So again, keeping an eye on the previous quarter's highs up ahead. Looking at Bitcoin, this one's up 3% right now. Continues to maintain this general area of the chart, which is 110,000. If you look back to last year, 110,000 is about where we were as well. This is the high end of last year's range, which was about 110. We hit it early in January and dropped, came back to it, went up to it, came back, and now we basically finished Friday at 109,915. So as of Friday, we just kind of been sitting off that 110 level. It's been significant. If we fail here, it can open up quite the pullback that could provide the next great entry opportunity for a return to highs and perhaps new highs down the road. As of right now, it does have a little bit of a skewed head and shoulder style pattern here developing. Still a downward bias, and still keeping an eye on 110 for the bigger, broader movement. Until then, we can have range-bound price action really between 108 and 118 until proven otherwise. Looking at ETH, this one's up 2% right now. Up 2%. We've noted that this one has had a stronger pattern of selling pressure here lately. It has been the one that has been hit the most to begin the year, then the best rally into these recent highs. So it's had a higher beta move compared to other cryptos, especially against Bitcoin. And on the way down right now, is it going to see additional weakness ahead, or is this about it? Is this about it? We watched 4,000. We mentioned 4,000 is the key level to watch. Here's 4,000 right there. We started to break down through it on a Thursday. By Friday, we're back above it, and here, heading into the RTH Open on a Monday, we're trading 41.50. So again, a reaction very strongly back above 4,000. And if we stay above 4,000, we're in this upper range, basically from 4,000 up to about 5,000. But you fail at 4,000, and there's a shot to work your way back across this lower range. Anywhere between 28 and 32 could be in play. So again, keeping an eye on this zone right now, holding off on a further break. Still fairly bearish here as this thing has worked its way down. To recover 4,200 would be significant. Our bear is going to defend this pullback right now for another rotation down in ETH. Keeping an eye on 4,000. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the week. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.